Joel Embiid, big guy,
Big guy.
more force. Look, when he's athletic, he's special.
MVP type, yes. Yeah.
But when he's not athletic, he's plodding. And look, Lonzo Ball has beat the odds by returning to the NBA. So I'm proud of those numbers.
This is his first year back, by the way, too. Yeah.
But if you take that as the high water mark, that's Joel Embiid missing 2 seasons and being 75% of himself when he comes back.
I said 85 when I was talking to other people. 75, that's even worse. Yeah. I mean,
it's a big deal.
And you think just from Lonzo, the big difference too is that they're point guard and center. This is two different body types.
It is more likely that Joel Embiid is done in the NBA than it is that he returns to his dominant previous self, because that's the trajectory of meniscus transplant surgery and or cartilage transplant surgery. Lonzo Ball is a great example of someone who has beat the odds and actually returned, and he clearly is not himself even after 2 years. So this is going to be quite the process that we hope Embiid can play through. I'm not hoping to be a negative naysayer and be correct. I'm just saying this is the reality. More likely done than himself of what we think about Joel Embiid. A good outcome would be he gets back to Lonzo Ballish type recovery. That's a really good outcome. So this is a big deal for the 76ers and Joel Embiid.
I had a question to ask you. So last year he had a little bit of a knee issue to end during the playoffs. And then he rushed back to go to the Olympics. And that was a huge deal. He wanted to get ready, and then he wasn't ready for the regular season. He got it. Journalists called him out. They had a self-imposed fat camp for him to start the regular season because he was out of shape coming back from the Olympics. From I guess a medical or the team perspective, would you have allowed him to go to the Olympics knowing that he has these issues and this regular season was going to come up? And
well, on the one hand, I'd say,
in hindsight, it looks like it was a terrible idea. But I mean,
well, on the one hand, I'd say he wanted to do it for his country, and good for him. And he has some nationalistic pride, and I would applaud that it's more about himself. It's not like he got a big money to go to the Olympics. He wanted to accomplish that, maybe. So I don't know the whole story. Look, I'm not trying to apologize for athletes, but if he's trying to lay off his knees, are you surprised he put on some weight? Maybe he was resting his knees.
Yeah, I was not surprised by the weight gain for sure. Yeah.
For the fat camp type stuff. Yeah, I think it's been a brewing long-term hard problem. And without us knowing all the details, I'm not trying to blame Joel Embiid. Oh, if he didn't go to the Olympics, he'd be fine. He might be right.
It might be the same
spot,
thing. Yeah, I agree with that.
Kind of thing. The Olympics is relatively short.
Mm-hmm.
Look, in NBA playoffs, one NBA playoffs is way longer than the Olympics.
Olympics only 5 or 7 of the whole week, a whole month spectacle. Yeah.
Even the lead up to it. The NBA playoffs are much more grueling. So I'm not blaming him, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope he beats the odds. I hope it's not the end. I hope he can come back better than even Lonzo Ball. But this is a big deal. That's all I can say, looking at the situation.
One thing I wanted to mention, there was some pushback between Daryl Morey and Embiid. They kind of didn't agree on his what he should do. Embiid kind of wanted to sit out a little bit more. Morey was pushing him to go on. It kind of reminds me of that. Remember Kawhi Leonard when he was on the Spurs? How he says they didn't really work with his knee well, and then he went to the Raptors, and apparently they did, and they won a championship. So I mean, does he need the right people to work with him? Or
I don't know the whole story there, but clearly any sort of meniscus chronic and or particular cartilage issue is a big deal. Suffice it to say, we have one NBA example of a meniscus transplant, admittedly with cartilage transplant, returning back to play at less than 100% after 2 seasons. We don't have any others.
Right, yeah. It's like Lonzo Ball is a great case, but the other cases,
That's why I say Lonzo Ball's case is better than expected. I mean, I would expected perhaps him to be done, and yet he came back some. So good on Lonzo Ball. That's what John Heffernan was saying, our last dance doctor from the Bulls.
There's people like Brandon Roy and Greg Oden didn't have a full transplant, but they had no like a meniscus or in their knee, and they said that it was rubbing against them and they couldn't play through that. So I mean, you either have the transplant, not play, or you just end up not getting to where you're supposed to be, right, with the injury. But yeah, like you said, this is bad. I want to mention though, you said it's gonna be a process. That's actually his nickname because they had a process when they were Sixers draft picks a couple years ago. Yeah, it's called it's called the process. When Sixers were bad for years and they were getting first pick, it was called the process.
Doug, do you think I did that on purpose?
I know you did it on purpose because it's way too good. It was when I looked it up, I was like, that's way too good that he did that.
I just slid it in there. I didn't
I heard it. I had to call it out though. Yeah. But yes, that's it for that. I mean, Doc,
Look,
doesn't sound you're clever, Doc. I know you are. I know you are.
A lot of kid sports now, and I watch, but
you're watching 3 sports every weekend. I know you're on it.
I'm not your typical orthopedist. I actually watch and know sports a little bit.
Mm-hmm.